Greetings and welcome to your View Highlights with me on Kopotse JJ Tawan. Every week we give you a sense of what happened on your view that comes to you Sunday to Thursday at 9 p.m. Central African Time. This week we had a dramatic start to our week with an interview with Bizoski Miyeki, who was ridiculed by the Sunday Times as a weed-smoking, unemployed Rastafarian, on the basis of which the public protector came to the conclusion that there is a rogue unit. He spoke to us and told us that indeed the rogue unit exists, but not only that, that it was involved in nefarious activities. The same day, the chairperson of PRASA told me, straight in my eye, that it is not safe to ride the train and she wouldn't recommend it. Because amongst others, the trains have failing brakes. Can you believe it? Let's take a look. Bizoski, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, great brethren, no?
How are you?
I'm doing well, fine.
All right, man.
Yeah, respect, my lord, you know.
Yeah, we wake up to you on the front page of the Sunday Times, man. Were you surprised that you were at the heart of the public protector's report?
Not necessarily. Yeah, what shocked me was the content of that particular document, you know.
Yeah.
Because there was interviewed on Friday by the same journalist.
Yes.
And this is not what we have engaged on.
So the journalist,
yes.
Jack Paul,
yes.
Talked to you on Friday?
Yes, around 12 or so midday.
But you are saying he distorted what you said. Tell me a little bit about what he said, the difference between what was written there and what the truth is.
No, the truth is, he was saying I was involved in the issue of rogue unit.
As an agent?
As an agent. I said, no, I was not. He said, apparently, according to the report from the PP, it's indicated that I'm the one who reported the matter as the person who was directly involved. I said, no, I was not direct. I was indirect in the sense that I was a full-time shop steward. And those, I won't call them employees, but they were not in the SARS system. Let me say staff members of rogue unit.
So the rogue unit exists?
Exists, and those staff members are called ghost workers, basically. They're not supposed to be seen.
They're called ghost workers?
Yes. The guy came to me. What happened, he was brought in by a certain lawyer from SARS. He said, Comrade Bizoski, I'm here with this gentleman. He's supposed to be a ghost worker. I don't want to hear anything. I've heard a little. I don't want to be witness on this matter. Please listen to this man. That's why I get the story, actually. That was the second time, I must say. First time I heard from one gentleman in passing, but it was kind of a room. I didn't take it serious. But when this guy narrated to me the story and I asked for documents and he procured those documents, I was shocked, really. And immediately I convened a meeting with the Deputy Commissioner of SARS. But we didn't go much further, because when I entered there, he started accusing me of things that I'm the one I'm a troublemaker and so on and so forth. And that I'm a criminal in the sense that I have represented a certain senior manager on a criminal case at the court, and he won the case. And I even asked him, if I'm a criminal, are you saying because I represented somebody who supposed to be involved with fraud at SARS? Are you saying that if I represent somebody who committed the rape as a lawyer, does that make me a rapist also? So we ended up fighting, then we left the matter at that.
So you represent this person as a staff representative, like it happens in disciplinary cases?
As a union member, of course. So what transpired then, after I informed the union, which was now, with a meeting with a personality like Slovo Major, you know, the Deputy Minister now, I think, of Trade in the Dust. We engaged, and I was advised to desist from this matter. This thing is too big for us, leave it as such. But I had a pressure, unfortunately, from members. And members have that particular they've got, should I say, blind trust. That trust was like, it's like we are like Jesus. They trust with every commodity. We know you'll never sell us out. And the commodity we are suffering, you know. Please do something about these issues. And somewhat dismissing the process, I was told, who tried to kind of uncover this thing of rogue unit. So what I did to organize a march, we asked the SARS first to appoint a commission of inquiry.
When was this?
That's 2010.
2010, okay.
Yes, I think Obama was the commission, if I'm not mistaken, and they refused. So what we did, we organized a march to Union Building. But prior to that, with a certain manager, I think it was not mine, Kenneth Fito, I dropped the name, but I said it's fine. If I indicate, you know, his involvement in the matter. We went to the house to try to meet the office of the General Secretary. And unfortunately, we were told that we drank something. They didn't want to listen to us anyhow. Why did we go there? We heard from media newspapers in particular, to say Pravin Gordhan was likely to be the Minister of Finance. We say, it can't be. You must clear these issues. And trust me, we are very, very convinced that rogue unit existed, and he was spearheading it himself as a commissioner.
So within SARS, it was known that it exists, but was the idea that it needed to exist as an intelligence unit and so on?
No.
Or there was it was clear that this was an undercover thing, that this was not supposed to exist, and everybody knew that there was something wrong with it existing?
It was an undercover thing. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
The executive manager who sits in the ESCO, which is Executive Council of SARS,
yeah,
engaged me and said, look, I was not aware that this unit, rogue unit, we're supposed to report to him. He said there was a budget coming from me to this unit, but I've not seen a single employee from that unit. A manager said, but they report to him, but I've not seen any. And she was saying this after I brought that gentleman, which is Mike Peyer. Before I said, this is one of the ghost workers. And he said, I was not aware. She thought that, she never even took it serious.
But Sunday Times describing you as someone who's unemployed, let alone dope, eating, and what have you. What happened to you? That's
a good one.
Yeah.
It warrants a good answer.
Yeah.
From where I'm standing, I can tell you, it's a calculated and orchestrated move to kind of, should I say, to discredit the office of the PP. Because they believe I'm the central figure in the case. If you deal with me, the case automatically will collapse.
Will fall away.
Of course.
To them.
Yeah. And they don't know that I'm not actually necessarily the key witness.
You're only one of many witnesses.
Yes,
I suppose.
Actually, I'm the worst of. If I should bring those guys, you'll be shocked of what the taxman was doing to the public. You'll be shocked, trust me.
A lot of people in the media are fighting over whether or not this unit exists. This unit doesn't exist. If it exists, is it legal? Is it within the law and so on? And I want you to just give me your overall understanding.
Yes.
And also whether you think that the public protector has come to a correct conclusion or not. Bizoski Menyaki is my guest tonight. And he's telling me about the rogue unit. He's been on the front page of the Sunday Times yesterday with a story written by Jack Paul, who, by the way, apologized this morning on a radio show by Eusebius Makaiza about why he decided to characterize Bizoski, as a Rastafarian, dope-smoking, unemployed person, out of all the things that you could have described. But let's take a break. After the break, we carry on with that conversation. Stay tuned. My newsmaker tonight is Bizoski Miyaki, and he's telling me about the story that was in the front page of the Sunday Times. A lot of reaction from you on Twitter, of course, throughout yesterday and today, truly condemning the Sunday Times for characterizing him the way they did. A lot of you saying, so what? Maybe if he was Catholic and selling ice cream, will it make any difference? How did you feel about when you saw the story, about how Jack Paul wrote that story to create you, as you were saying, like some person who doesn't have his head in the right place?
Yeah, in fact, I felt insulted, truly. And as a lawyer, also I said, look, this actually is kindly is defaming my name, my integrity, my intelligence, as a professional, and secondly also as a citizen, And I was appalled, honestly. I was shocked, to say the least. However, you have asked a question earlier about the rogue unit.
The rogue unit itself, yes.
It was disguised as a national research group.
Research?
Yeah, research.
This one I'm hearing for the first time.
Yes,
as a national research group.
Research group. That's how I think even before there was another name, they keep on changing names,
Yeah.
But the staff remain. And I must say that all those staff members, the one I've met and the other one, they had no less than 10 access cards.
10 access cards?
With same face, different names, signed by the Commissioner of SARS.
Sure.
With the Commissioner of SARS signature.
So that they can really be underground. You don't know when they came in, when they came out. Because obviously there was a system that would show who was in the building.
Of course. And I was shown a letter whereby SARS was requesting an approval from the Minister of Finance, if I'm not mistaken.
At that point, Trevor Manuel.
Yeah, to say that they want to formulate their own intelligence agents, like NEA. You know, every country is its own. There's only one.
Yes, in fact, that letter is a letter that was circulating, around.
Yes.
That was beginning to say that, but this thing was above board.
Yes, and when they made that application, it was already existing.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
So this letter was fake.
Yes. Let me deal with the issue of Mike. Because I was handling his case legally. Mike Peha was arrested between Polokwane and Pretoria. I think somewhere there is Mudimule. You know, this is close there. That place, I'm told, has never been a roadblock before in history. Yeah. And her story, of course.
Yes.
First time there was roadblock, because what happened? They've asked him to go and collect, I think it was ammunitions, rhinos and things. Maybe we could have read about this thing. Yeah. As by the employer, we all know SARS got nothing to do with this kind of drugs, and SARS deal with tax. But this guy, he was saying, look, there's no single day or an assignment that I've been given that has to do with checks. So he started asking these guys, actually, what are my role? And by the way, his profession is a soldier.
Sure.
He's a former Ablam, so he's a soldier. He said, look, and the way they've been appointed, they just pick up from the street. There was no single actually circular I've seen advertising the position of that National Research Group, whatever they call it. That's why when it came to me, I engaged the people who were involved within the rocket. They denied. Then later when I was asked to say, look, how much you want? What do you do? And when I started engaging them, say, if you say how much I want, then why are you denying? What are you paying me for?
Sure.
They could not say. And the rest is history, like I've indicated. I was dealt with, I was humiliated, and, then I have to resign.
So what do you make of the whole argument in the media about existence and non-existence?
Look, I do not blame them much, but they do not know what we know. And all we're saying is that there's documentary proof, there is trail.
There's documentary proof that it exists.
There is trail, there is trace, there is grave. We'll pinpoint those things. And those witnesses are lined up. They say, Comrade Bizowski, look, we're with you. We'll come and speak at the appropriate appointed time. And it will happen. And we've been told
so you're saying there's still more witnesses who are willing to actually come forward.
Of course.
But they're afraid.
But they want protection. They said they're prepared to give their lives and their wives for the truth, nothing but the truth. And I must say, this is got nothing to do with Praveen or Ms. Mukhaban. But this about actually the integrity of the office they occupy.
So when you read the public protector's report, do you think she's on the right track in terms of saying that this thing was not legal?
I beg your pardon?
In your view, is the public protector on the right track?
Yeah, she is.
When she says that this thing was not legal, it was not according to the law.
100%. The only challenge I have, which I've not seen the report, I've read from the media. Yeah. But I'm told that actually they are saying I am Magpie. They're mixing the two. I'm told the report is saying that. They're saying I am Magpie. I'm the one who was doing those things. Yeah. Right now it was me. But I say it was not me, but that does not actually defeat the fact that the story, actually, the incident existed as they were then. It doesn't stop the fact there was rock beneath. Those incidents, as they're saying, it happened, even though it was not, it was Magpie. I think they could have mixed names or something. Yeah. From what I'm told.
The minister's version is that there was nothing wrong with having an intelligence unit, and in fact, it was properly authorized.
It may be correct, but not what they were doing. You listen to Mike, will tell you that the scope of their responsibility got nothing to do with SARS at all.
Sure.
Got at all, nothing at all. And he's not the only one, unfortunately. Though he may be the key witness on this particular.
What are some of the things that, in your understanding, without going into the names and what that the unit was doing? Because it's very strange if they were set up in order to be able to chase, for example, tax dodgers and organized crime, and then they went on to do something else.
And that is the role of audit division anyway. It got nothing to do with the research group. That's why I'm asking, researching what? So it was not research, it was searching. We use the word searching. Searching people's houses, planting and all this. There's a lot. I've gone through that document. I nearly even actually gone mad.
Tell me some more of what sort of other things are happening, because they will be arguing that they were doing all of that in order to entrap, for example, some of the people who are doing wrong things in order to do stuff that police would do in entrapping criminals.
Yeah, but you can't do it illegally. You have to apply to your court of law. You can't do it actually in the manner as they did. You can't. unfortunately, you know. Hence, I'm saying that I'm waiting for that time for the witness to come forward. Though Timidian is one of them, but she was not necessarily directly linked to Rogue Unit, another matter of corruption. Yeah. There was a lot of issues that happened in the office. And people, once they get to know actually the truth, they'll start to reduce us, moving it more from a heaven to hell. It was best place as a hell than heaven. Even the working class members will tell you, working for SARS, they will tell you exactly, those who were affected mainly on this kind of related issues.
So what has happened to some of the people who are working there? Are some of them willing to testify?
I'm told they are around, but they've been dispatched elsewhere. But I don't think that unit was dismantled. It still exists, maybe a different name. I think so.
You believe that the Rogue Unit is still existing as we speak?
Yeah, they have changed names.
They just changed its name?
Yes. The beauty about it is that many of those I've spoken to, they said that they will line up with the PP and inform her in terms of being joined the parties in that particular case. So they come and testify. And you see, the beauty about it is that people who are directly affected, and some of these people who have benefited from the participation thereof. When somebody said that I've committed rape, and he went to the police, he doesn't say I've seen people committing rape. He said, I committed rape myself. There's no way that you can refuse to believe that person. He said I've benefited from the act, and I know I'm wrong.
Benefited from the unit?
Yeah, I said I've benefited somehow.
But what kind of benefit? Like this, through criminal proceeds or what?
Of course, of course. I believe not all monies were delivered. Some of the guys will take monies for themselves. Some were delivered at SARS. And what they will do, from what I was told, they will create their own budget. And I will not be shocked that the budget thereof was bigger than that of NIA.
Was bigger than
that of NIA. Of NIA.
Of NIA?
Yeah.
You joking?
Well, these guys will do anything, Chief. Will do anything and everything possible to attain to that illicit goal that they want to attain. Under the leadership, I'm not afraid to mention him, of Mr. Johan van Lochenbeck. I had a meeting with them, these people.
Tell me more about what van Lochenbeck did.
He was one of the guy leading the unit. Maybe you might have heard about him. This is the guy that was challenged on that issue of tobacco. What remember something?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That was a gentleman. And I'm told that most of them are even related to the flag pack unit. Remember the flag pack unit?
Flag plus, yes.
Yeah, most of the staff within they're coming from that side. And some of them don't even have the sort of qualification to work for SARS. But like I've said, there were no proper interviews, so who am I to challenge in terms of the appointment? But that was not appointment, it was merely anointment.
Sure.
Yeah.
In the high echelons of SARS, who else was implicated in the formation of this rogue unit?
Like I've said, I think both commissioners knew, the commissioner and the deputy commissioner, they knew. Which is Praveen.
What are you referring to?
I'm talking about Mr. Praveen Godan and the deputy commissioner, Ivan Pillay. Ivan
Pillay?
Yes.
So what is the link between this whole retirement of Ivan Pillay and the rogue unit? Is there a link in your understanding?
I may not say exactly. But what I know is that what was said about the issue of retirement was true, because I was there when these things were happening. I was shown document by a certain HR manager. He complained even before to me, said, look, I don't know what to do as a senior manager. This is happening, look. This can't be happening.
But was it done under Praveen, or Praveen found it already in motion?
No, it was done under, Praveen apparently instructed Opamahashu, Mr. Opamahashu, the then commissioner of SARS, to do that. And Opa was under pressure. Remember, Opa was appointed by Praveen.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame him. He couldn't refuse. He was under sheer pressure, you know.
There are people who are saying that this is what happens in other government departments and so on, and this one was not an exception as such. What do you say to that?
No, it was an exception. How do you give somebody actually a pension and after re-employ him as a consultant and triple kind of his salary?
Sure.
I don't know what to call it. My dictionary has no way to express. I don't know what to call it. If this is not fraud, then I do not know what it's called. There should be anything above fraud, then I'll agree. Anything less, I do not agree.
So you think that this is fraud?
Yeah, you see, that case, you see, I've aged. If I was young when this thing started, it aged me, those issues.
It aged
because I couldn't even sleep.
Because you are aware of the detail
plethora of issues coming through, and I had no one to run to.
And the role of the media in your understanding in this whole saga, I think there's a lot of cover-up.
There is, of course. I've seen that. I've used to hear this. Now, being involved directly, I can tell you now that, yes, there's a lot of cover-up, which I even believe in that apparently maybe some of these leaders, they've got shares
in the press.
Yeah, because you can see the way things are going. People, you say this, they put it differently, you know, to suit a particular kind of agenda. You can see this clearly.
What's your understanding of how, on this, just for you to recap this, you think the Sunday Times was made to cover up by people who were around the minister?
Yes, of course. I can tell you that without mincing my words. It was. Because even the way I was interviewed, he was insisting that there was no rock unit. You know, like I should like this is from. I said no, there was. And if you want me to bring forward witnesses and possibly documentation, we'll do so. But it needs that appropriate time and space.
All right.
You know.
But thank you so much for coming to talk to us, man.
Respect.
I really appreciate
anytime. We are sitting there, our duty is to ensure that we ensure that justice is not only heard but seen.
But seen to be done.
That's our responsibility.
Thank you so much, and all the best. Be safe, man. Eh?
Yeah, much respect.
You feel safe?
Yeah, sure. I'm protected by the Most High. I'm Rasta, man. Respect from Rama said, you know.
Okay, after the break, we're going to be talking frankly to the chairperson of PRASA, as Ausi Kweyama. Frank Talk tonight is with the chairperson of the Passenger Rail Services of South Africa, PRASA, Sisi Kweyama, Kanyisile Kweyama, who has kindly agreed to come and talk to me. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, JJ. How are you?
No, I'm all right. Thank you so much.
Yes, and good evening to the viewers.
Where do we start? You know, PRASA is truly such a mess, man, sometimes. You know, now, okay, maybe let's start with the salaries. How can a big company like this, a multi-billion corporation, fail to pay staff on time? Well, should I interpret this as a red light, maybe, that you want to share with us, whether or not things are a little bit dicey there, or what's going on?
No, it was human error, and it's inexcusable. And your body language, JJ, when you talk about PRASA, you really need to just motivate people. Don't slump your shoulders.
I mean, I had sort of, shut down from, once you are there and you're in charge, I said, no, it's in good hands and so on. So this thing, especially happening at the back of what happened at Denel, was not looking good at all.
No, it wasn't looking good. And it was an unfortunate timing.
Yeah.
It was a few hours delay because they were paid
But
the
what
next
is human
day.
error? Explain quickly for somebody who doesn't understand.
Human error means whoever was doing the data capturing did something wrong. So there is an investigation going on.
Yes.
And this is just to say to you, we are not just saying, oh, it's just human error, let it pass.
Oh, I see.
It says we want to
somebody's going to take responsibility.
Somebody has to take responsibility for it. And as soon as that is out, obviously, we will make a public announcement because there was a public announcement.
It was a terrible public relations nightmare.
It's a terrible nightmare. It's a terrible nightmare. And this is at a time when, we are really trying to build relationships with labor, with staff.
Yeah.
We have been embarking on road shows to talk to staff and just give them the comfort that, that they have jobs. But also to say they also need to be serious about their jobs, and these
it's
types
interesting
of
you're focusing on labor and contrasting this with the relationship you have with labor, because the track record has not been great. About a year ago, if I'm not mistaken, I know it was not before your time, but it's relevant now, where PRASA tried to fire, I think, 700 people at a go, just because they were protesting against what right now we now know to be true, that there was corruption there was a lot of, unexplained transactions, etc., etc. And those people ended up in the streets. Yeah,
and they have been reinstated by the courts, not by PRASA.
Yes.
And we are right now in the process of ensuring that they are reintegrated into the workplace.
Yes.
And it's things like that are just inexcusable. And we have been having engagements with labor. We had bilaterals with the organized labor.
Yes.
And we recently also started having quarterly meetings with them, where we sit with them to just discuss matters of mutual interest, just to restore the relationship, because they are a key stakeholder.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the workers that had been dismissed have been reinstated. We obviously owe them a lot of money from the time that they were sitting at home. And this is not the best of times for SOEs in terms of money, as you know.
Yes.
So we are talking to the department and to National Treasury to see how we can, because it just has to happen. It's not even whether we are negotiating ourselves out of it.
Yeah, it looks like, on the public relations front, you are doing very badly. I mean, you guys, out of everything you could have done was to get the president of the country to be stuck in a train for 3 hours.
You are rubbing it in, but...
I'm not. I really want you to explain to me, because you see what happens when something like that happens, which is clearly an accident. I don't think anybody could have planned. I don't think Balula planned a campaign where the whole country is focused on the president stuck in a train for 3 hours. Then the president said, no, we're going to sort it out. What's different since the president got stuck in a train up to today that you can tell me that if he gets into a train again, this won't happen?
Yeah, so maybe just to take you back to that particular day,
yes,
when the president got stuck, which once again is also inexcusable.
Yes.
And it's an indication of the state of PRASA as an entity. Trains that break down, maintenance is not good, and all that. But another factor that comes in that I think the public doesn't focus on is violence on PRASA staff. So on that particular day, a train driver, a lady, was, because of the issues of a train getting stuck, was attacked, and just bricks were thrown at her. If you had seen the visuals that day.
But are you saying that that's what caused the train to be stuck for 3 hours?
That was part of the train delay.
It's not the other way around. Not that the train was delayed and then there was violence.
No. That train was in the front of the one that the president was in.
I see.
So there was that. There was also brake failure on one of the trains.
Brake failure?
Yeah, there was brake failure on one of the trains.
Can you know? How
so
does a train have brake failure?
That's why I say it's a really bigger problem, just in terms of the state of the entity as a whole. Years and years of lack of maintenance. So trains are not in a good state.
I've heard it all, not brake fail.
No, they do. You do have brake fail.
But these people will be afraid to get onto your trains.
Generally, they should be. I would be afraid as well. However, we have a plan, and I'm sure you have heard that Minister Mbalula in the past couple of weeks has been talking about a 100-day plan for PRASA. But before that, we had developed a get-on-track turnaround strategy. That is aimed at getting PRASA back on track. So this 100 days has really put an additional focus on it, and this goes to the granular detail of maintenance. PRASA has to improve its maintenance record. It has to improve the availability of trains, because when trains are not available, people get frustrated because they're not getting to work on time. And who do they attack? The train drivers, because that's the person closest to them.
Is there one person, just one person, who has been prosecuted for banning of trains? You see, I can understand everything else. I can understand people's frustrations, but I can't understand why we have so many incidents of banning of the train. In the Western Cape in particular, your trains are banned there so regularly, Yet in those stations, half the time they are banned at the station, which means that there must be an assumption that there are cameras that are focusing on these trains and so on, and therefore it shouldn't be difficult to actually prosecute at least one person for banning these trains.
So you know that there is somebody who was arrested now.
Okay.
That is still undergoing trial, including psychological assessment as to whether their state of mind is okay. This is
that they ban the train.
Not that they banned the train. When they presented themselves in court, the magistrate had doubts about their state of mind, so they had to undergo psychological assessment. That was in May sometime. So what you have, and I can really say this is because of the hard work that we've been putting in as a board now. If you look at the period between 2005 to 15 leading up to 18, there was an average of 58 train bannings every month.
No.
We have lowered
58.
We have lowered that to 12, which is still not good enough. Absolutely.
Still huge, but it's a big 58. That is extraordinary.
It was 58 because there was over 200.
And you only arrested one person out of 58 bannings per month.
So when you say you, now we are not the SAPS.
Okay.
So we.
But who captures who is in charge of the CCTV? Surely.
It is PRASA. So that now takes us to the discussion about security at PRASA. You will know that there is a history of irregular contracts. There's a history of people who were not doing their work, who were appointed to do work and were just lazing around. And we have been cleaning out that process, including having advertised a new tender a couple of months ago, and we are now adjudicating so that we can employ people who will do their work.
Because of that poor contract, you actually now are sitting in situations where you don't have evidence, hard evidence, you don't have footage, as you are meant to have.
Absolutely. And I have personally seen the most recent where somebody was arrested. It doesn't qualify to be proper footage. So when I go back to where we started, when I say we inherited a system that's been broken, you name it, from people's commitment to work, from supply chain management, you name it, it has been broken. And trying to bring that up to speed and at least get it to a space where it's working.
What would you say to me about the state of governance of PRASA? Are you happy with, so far, that there is a clarity of roles between the shareholder, the board, and whatever is left of the executive?
So the shareholders' roles and responsibilities are very clear.
I'm asking this because there's always been these stories where the minister wanted to impose, the previous minister imposed a CEO, the board didn't like the CEO, and then you fire the CEO, and this CEO, you know, it was a mess, man.
That has not happened, and I would be unfair on both ministers, Nzimande and Balula, if I said
there was
that they were
interference
in.
No scope creep.
There is no scope creep. I think they are concerned, and initially there will be that tension, but it's a healthy tension.
Sure.
I don't think it's just too.
So you are being allowed as the board to run the ship now to make sure this.
Absolutely. Stable. For instance, in the recruitment process that you are talking about, I haven't had CVs coming from a minister.
From somewhere else?
No.
Okay.
No, we have run it ourselves.
Well, it's good to hear that because the stories from other parastatals are a mess. You have been in charge of Brand South Africa. Apparently your term has ended. But your CEO, there was in suspension for almost 2 years. How do you get that right? How do you get to be somebody be on suspension for almost 2 years, earning a salary at home?
It wasn't 2 years, but you know, we
correct. But it was months on end.
And you rightfully say my term has ended, so I will only speak for the past. But we had to run the disciplinary process. As you are aware, in the first round, the CEO was found not guilty of the first charge. But subsequent to that, he has been found guilty of some of the charges.
He's been found guilty, so he's out?
No. He's
still there.
That is now up to the new board
whether to execute or not.
Whatever the sanction will be.
But an important body like Brand South Africa to be at limbo for 2 years, that was terrible.
No, that wasn't good, but we had to respect the disciplinary process. And when a independent chair is presiding over a process, you need to leave them. You were talking about creep. We couldn't be the board that says, now you must do it tomorrow.
Because he was accusing you guys of interfering with his work. Because he's been all over the show saying the board was terrible, interfering with tenders and what. No. You dismiss all of that out of hand?
So there is a report that was commissioned on that, and that report is out as well, and there was no evidence of any board interference.
I want to talk after the break on the trains, the new trains. We've been promised new trains. At some point there was an argument about whether these trains are correct for the rails or whatever. I want to talk about that and your plans going forward. When we come back from the break. Our Frank Talk tonight is with Kanyesi Lekwedama. She's the chairperson, for her sins, I must tell you, the chairperson of PRASA. She was a chairperson at some point of the interim SABC board. She was also a part of Brand South Africa. Everywhere, fires everywhere. She really has a knack for putting out fires, and of course it looks like she's putting out one big hell of a fire at PRASA. Let's take a break. We talk some more to her after the break. Our Frank interview tonight with Sisi Kanyesi Lekwedama. You inherited a mess, to say the least.
Say the least.
Let's start with the procurement, this massive procurement of trains and so on. Has this been sorted out? Was it all an urban legend? Did you really find a mess of trains that were wrongly procured? What's the story there?
So we've got 2 sets of trains, and I noticed that people do tend to confuse them,
mix the two,
up. So they're the trains, what we call rolling stock.
Okay.
Those are what the Gibela trains.
Yes.
That with the factory that's out in Niger.
Okay.
And those trains have been doing a test trial in Gauteng.
Okay.
So they run from Pretoria to Pienaarspruit.
Test run means there are no people inside.
No, they are. They are.
You're testing with passengers.
Yeah, so what you normally do, you'd go through a test without passengers, and at some stage the regulator then allows you to put passengers
I see.
So those have been running.
Yeah.
These
are brand new ones?
These are brand new ones. They are coming out of the factory in
Niger. Okay.
The first batch came out of Brazil, but they're now being manufactured locally.
Locally,
yeah,
yes.
so we are only allowed to run them during non-peak hours. But
why?
Because that's just how you test. That's how the regulator makes it work, so that you are not during the crunch hours with too many people.
Yeah.
But within the next weeks or so, we will then move on to having them during morning peak, so that they can carry more passengers.
Yes.
And that will run for a certain amount of time, and then they can run afternoon peak.
This is state-of-the-art.
Yeah, these are
the new ones.
They have all the safety features.
Yeah.
There was actually recently, on the day that Minister Mbalula was appointed, you may have read that a stationary tamping machine went into one of those. But because of the safety features, you had no fatalities in that. So those will run. We have taken 2 of those down to Cape Town as well.
Okay.
So also as part of apologizing to the president, we did that with him in Cape Town. So
he was on the train again?
He was on the new blue trains. They are called EMUs. And that went smooth. Then the trains we are talking about are the locomotives.
Okay.
So maybe Ketlogofela.
I see.
Yeah, those are the ones that have been through the
There was a
process
difficulty with them?
With the height.
The height, okay.
Yeah. And not only that, just some of the rail issues as well. So that has been in litigation.
So it was true that there was some mismatch between the trail and the rail, but it was heavily denied.
Well, it's all the facts are there. The legal case, as an example, has run its course all the way to the Constitutional Court, where where Shifambo defended itself and lost in the Constitutional Court.
So basically they sold you wrong trains?
Yes.
Sure.
And that has always been PRASA's view.
You got your money back?
No, this is the process now, because the company went into liquidation.
I see.
So that whole process.
So how much money is on the line?
2.5, 2.6 billion. That's how much is on the line.
Is somebody going to take the fall for this?
So we are in litigation with that. Not only, now that the court has reached that, we now have to go and recover the money.
Your target is the company?
Yes.
Not your own people who signed off on it?
Well, that's the legal strategy. I can't say at the moment, but it will go beyond.
It will go beyond just the company.
The recoveries will go beyond the company.
But you are busy now replacing those now? Not
yet, because the Constitutional Court was just a few months ago.
I see.
But yes, we have to recover. We have to get new locomotives. There was a need for the locomotives. They mainly run on the long distance service, and that is also in quite a bad state.
A lot of the stories about the parastatals is that they are running to the treasury asking for money. But it looks like PRASA was the opposite, that you were spending and splashing instead.
So PRASA has a combination of spending and splashing from the past, but it also has a history of not spending capex, which is what we inherited. So you are in a catch-22 in that you need to spend so that you can improve the rail system, so that you can get enough.
But that was not happening, so you are sitting with cash.
Because the procurement system was a mess. So actually PRASA is sitting with a lot of capex, even though it doesn't have operational...
When you say the procurement system was in a mess, is it the polite way of saying that money was being stolen?
Combination of that, but there was no policy as well. So if you recall that the Public Protector's report, while it was Advocate Thuli Madonsela, derailed, identified the fact that the supply chain management policy had not been revised, was an old one, and it just basically didn't exist. And that's one of the areas that we started with as a board. So as we stand now, we do have an approved supply chain management policy.
Yeah.
But then we have actors everywhere. We have an acting CEO, acting CFO, acting CPO.
Why?
literally.
Why can't you as a board simply appoint those people in those posts?
We are. So we have run the process for all the executive positions. We advertised.
Yeah.
We received ads. We have some of them we are in the process of vetting now so that we can appoint, because we are also not going to appoint people without doing proper reference checking, given the history.
But how long is this process? How long is your board been in place?
Our board is a year and 2
You need more than a year to appoint the chief executive.
You need to advertise.
Yeah.
That's where you find the challenge, because in order to advertise and get a headhunter,
Yeah.
you go to that same procurement system.
Oh my goodness.
So, yes, it's catch-22 everywhere. But I think, and really kudos to the board members, because they worked at it day and night until we finally got the ad out, got the people in, have interviewed, and within a few months at the most, we will announce those particular appointments.
So going back to the finances, are you saying that PRASA is actually profitable?
No, PRASA is not profitable.
You've made a loss?
PRASA has been making a loss consistently
of 938 million
over this. That was in our first year after we had got into a stage. So when we came to PRASA, the previous 2 financial years, 2016, 17, 17, 18, had not even been
So you made a
audited.
loss even when you take into account the fact that you have not spent on CapEx?
Yes, but that is really operational. So PRASA operates on a subsidy as well as revenue from train fares.
Okay.
And the tragedy of the train system is that people they call it mangobe. They just get onto trains without paying. And the system is porous in that it allows that. So there are very few paying passengers. So all the targets...
Wait, explain to me that. Does it mean that at the stations there isn't a control, like at the how train station type of thing where you can't get in? I mean, if you don't have a ticket, you just won't travel.
So when you go to a station, you will find that there is hardware that is supposed to be functioning, but it hasn't functioned. And some of the litigation we are still currently involved in is of those very tenders that they were appointed to put in that, but the software wasn't there. It's been vandalized as well. So if you go to a number, Naledi, all those people just
you can
come
just jump onto the train.
Well, but before you jump onto the train, people have ripped it off and they take it. So there's a combination of our communities also have to come to the party. They actually can't go and rip off equipment from stations. They can't jump over fences. On the train rides that I've been
But inside the train, don't you have people, ticketing officers, who then, whether you jumped or not, once you are in there, the ticket, or there are not enough staff?
Not enough. They're not enough.
So that's not going to help the situation?
Well, it will help now.
Or am I sounding like somebody who has not used the train in a while?
I can tell that. I've been on trains recently. I go on trains regularly.
Well, I used it at university, I mean.
And the new ones,
From Belleville to Cape Town. I used the train all the time.
So honestly...
But the ticketing officers were very strict. You couldn't do manga business.
No, you couldn't. And I used to use trains as well. Both local and long distance when I went to boarding school. And there was order.
There was order,
and it has been eroded over the years. And I challenge anyone to say.
But this is shocking. What you're explaining to me is a shocking state of our trains.
But don't despair. We are in recovery mode now. And from a security level, for instance, there was no security strategy when we were appointed at PRASA. If there was, it was long, old and lying on a shelf with dust.
Sure.
And that is also one of the achievements that we've had, in that we have developed a security strategy. The security companies that were appointed irregularly to start with and were not doing their work, we have suspended some have been dismissed, and we are now in the process of doing a lot of insourcing so that we control our own security, because we have not been able to control outsourced security companies. But as you can understand, you can't roll that overnight. So we will start with a certain percentage that is insourced, so that we can control our own. And the outsourced portion will really be the technology part, because today
But why can't you just replicate the systems of the Gautrain? Because it looks so organized and so on, to a point where, you know, if I use it, you still think I've never used a train. What is the difference there? Is it because the other one is actually privatized, you know, and it's run, you know, by a private consortium and what have you, while the other is is just dumped in a public service of some sort? How would you explain to me the difference?
Well, Gautrain does also deal with a smaller, the kilometers are less. You know, if you compare Gautrain between here and Hatfield and the airport, it is quite contained. So perhaps it's easier to just deal with a smaller problem. But we're talking of a network that's countrywide.
Nationwide,
that is serving many, many more millions of passengers. And that does have elements of people who have not been taking care of the system. So it hasn't been properly maintained, and there has been a lot of playing around with contracts where people are not delivering and there have been no consequences. And now there are consequences. You know, we had an accident in Pretoria recently that you probably know about in Mountain View, and there were consequences. You know, people lost their jobs, security companies were fired because of that. Then I know you'll think it's an excuse, the cable theft issue, because we are supposed to have modernized. A couple of years ago, PRASA embarked on the modernization program, and it has been delayed so many times for so many years because people just go and steal the cables. So how do you put in a system that is supposed to be fully
secures those tables?
That secures those.
But aren't these tables like, what do you call it? Like you need to see with the electric fence type of thing. I mean, how do you steal a cable? Sometimes I don't understand.
You know, they steal it in mines. You know, they steal it at Eskom. So these are very sophisticated syndicates who steal cables. You know, they just, it's, you know, it's a national problem that is at a level that is difficult. But there are processes in place to secure more. We have received presentations from companies that have detecting systems that will pick it up before.
Or pick it up where it's been cut and stuff.
And once again, with cable theft, you have to go to the source and cut out the syndicates. And in the Western Cape, where there was a project that really focuses on cable theft, we have seen many more arrests
of
and prosecutions. But in Gauteng, it still is a huge problem.
Thank you for sharing with us your plans. I wish you well.
Thank you.
We'll leave you alone until next year. So in a year's time, please come and update us.
We will do so.
Interesting conversations there with Bizoski Miyeki. Clearly, this saga of the Rogue Unit is not about to end, and the full story is yet to be told. But it's refreshing to see a civil servant like Ms. Kweyama, who was able to be honest about the challenges that are faced by that parastatal, and hopefully she will be given the support to fix it all. Thank you for joining us for those highlights.